Hi, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to read the JSON using Jackson in the Java programming language. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. I have a large JSON file full of company data that I want to convert from JSON into something that Java can work with. Here is my file. It's got a company name, it has an industry, and it has an array of phone numbers. I generated this list from mockaroo.com, so it's just all random data. If a name happens to be there, it's coincidental. I built company.java, which has private variables for each one of my objects. I built this on JSON schema to pojo.com. I have another video on my site that walks me through how I did this. You can also build these by hand. You need this company or this class in order to use ObjectMapper to read the JSON. In my app, I've read my file into a string, and I use this read all bytes just to quickly suck everything in off the file. If there's an error, it kicks out. And then I read SQL and data companies JSON. That's where my file happens to live. And when I run this, I get my data back. It's just in string format. So I want to parse this. I might want to find how many industries say wholesale or something. I could use string manipulation functions in this, but that's tedious. Jackson makes this easier. Jackson is going to convert this from a string of JSON into an array list of companies, and it's to do it relatively quickly. Okay, so I'm going to comment out this output here because I know my read works. So I've got my company JSON. It's often helpful to have a variable of the class you're going to read in. I'm now going to use ObjectMapper. ObjectMapper is from Jackson. It's from FasterXML. If you don't have this, you need to go to your POM file and input Jackson core, Jackson annotations, and Jackson data binds. To do so in Visual Studio Code, you hit your plus next to dependencies and search for Jackson core, and these three are the ones you want. Notice they come from com.fasterxml.jackson core. Make sure you pull them from com.fasterxml. It's the correct version. Okay, back to my app. So Mapper is going to do all the heavy lifting for me. So I've already read the files. I know that it works. Now I'm going to convert it. Mapper can throw some errors, so I'm going to catch these. Use JSON processing exception. And all I'm going to do is yell at you and quit out here. In reality, you would do something better. To read this thing, I'm going to convert that JSON string into a list of companies. So I've got my company list array that I created up here. So I'm going to use read value. The version I'm going to use accepts two parameters: the JSON you wish to read, and then a type reference to your type. Oops. Oh, it's company JSON. All right, now it's happy. So I needed imports, type reference. That comes from FasterXML, and JSON processing exception and data bind object mapper, all from FasterXML, are needed here. Okay, so that line converted over to array. So it's one line of code. I've basically read the array. I'm proving it a couple different ways. I'm going to create a variable here called counter. I'm going to set the counter here. Oops, wrong one. And now print out the counter. Run it, it should say 50 lines read. If I don't have this line of code, I get 0 lines read. So now we might want to do something with this list. So let's create another method. If I look at my file, some don't have a type, this NA. I want to count how many don't have NA. This is child's play now. This is just basic brute force counting. So I'll use a for each loop to walk through these. And since this is a class, this becomes a really easy check. Visual Studio Code helped me with the quotes. Just add one, and then outside here, so I've walked through my list. I'm going to print it out here. Run it. I forget how many there are. 12 of them have NA. Okay, so what you should see here is Mapper is amazing. It did a whole bunch of work for you. You could have done that by hand. You could have parsed this manually with string manipulation functions, search for company, and then get what's after it, search for energy, get what's after it, but Jackson did it for you. I'm a big fan of using tools, so it makes sense to use a tool here. All right, thank you for watching, and good luck.